Hello, my name is Tomkowicz and I work for Fresh Minds. We're a research consultancy and we specialize in both quant and qual work. And that's why today I'm here to talk to you about online text analytics and the top 10 tips, because we've done both and we believe that the online work is at the junction of both. So we're in a good position to share the experiences that we've had with you. So to start, and just to give you a little bit of background, we know that there are a lot of conversations going on out there online. It's in billions. There are billions of tweets each year and users. Again, more than 3.5 billion pieces of content each week shared on Facebook. There are 5.3 billion fans on Facebook for different brands and different things. And just in 2009, there were 1,026 million blogs on the internet. And if you think about this, well, surely people are not going to be using internet less in the future. They'll use it more and more. So it becomes really important to really understand what it means for all the different brands and different companies. There are quite a few automated tools online that you can use to analyze these conversations. They give you different graphs and charts and KPIs and sentiment analysis. It's become a little bit of a dashboarditis at times because it becomes really difficult and confusing to understand what they're all saying. So it's a challenge right now to really be able to harness all the insight that's out there on the internet and use it to answer your business questions and address your big business objectives. So what I'm going to do today, I will take you through the top 10 tips for using automated tools for text analytics online. And fingers crossed this will set you up with enough knowledge to ask the right questions and know what really to look out for when you're doing text analytics online. So I'll start by telling you a bit about a little project that we did here at Fresh Minds. We used Starbucks as the brand name. And we used the 7 different tools to analyze mentions of Starbucks online. And this graph presents the number of mentions, overall number of mentions that we got out of each of these tools, using exactly the same search criteria, looking for Starbucks. As you can see, the differences were very vast, and they're due to quite a few different factors. And today I will go through it with you and tell you the kind of the reasons for these differences and what they mean, and how to interpret them when you analyze the text online. So the first tip that you should really keep in mind is to check which areas of the internet your tool is actually monitoring. Chances are you're missing out on the data on closed communities, and most tools cannot troll private areas on Facebook. This becomes a challenge because sometimes your most important stakeholders or most important group of clients or audiences are actually in closed areas. So you have to be really careful not to miss out on them. There is an opportunity to use youropenbook.org to source your quotes from open profiles on Facebook, but you cannot do a robust analysis because all you can do is to source quotes. It's really hard to really systematize them and analyze them in a systematic manner. And also, if you do log on to closed forums and you source quotes and analyze the content, there are some serious ethical implications, because if you use a direct quote from a person on a closed forum, someone can then Google that quote and actually trace it back to the actual person who said it. So be really careful and always consult someone from the MRS about the ethical considerations of your research process. And the second tip is about the location and nationality recognition. So most tools will just use the .com or .co to make a judgment call on where the actual website is based. This could lead to bias. For instance, mumsnet.com is a very well-known, actually probably the leading mothering forum in the UK. But because it comes up as .com, quite a few tools will classify it as an American website with American audiences, which then can skew your results and actually tell you something that's probably not true. Then the language used on forum usually isn't, well, quite a lot of the times, it's not indicative of user nationality. For instance, younger audiences that discuss online games and gadgets, a lot of the time they'll go on English language forums and discuss stuff in English, even though they might come from completely different countries and continents. Then you should definitely check how recent your data is and how important it is for you to actually have the most recent data. So some tools would provide you with very new, fresh data every day. They use little things called crawlers or spiders, and they go around the internet and memorize all the different websites, and then some of them will come back to you really quickly and give you the fresh data straight away. When other websites will have a bit of a lag, it can take up to a week. So the little crawlers go around the website or around the internet. They prioritize the most important websites, go on the less important websites later, and then they give you some data. However, sometimes if the data is delivered really speedily and really quickly, it can happen that it's at the expense of quality. So you have some repetitions and some spam, and the data is not really that amazing. Sometimes it might be actually worth subscribing to a tool that has a bit of a lag, so that when you get the data, it's a bit better quality. So when does that matter? Actually, when you need insight from really good quality data, I'd say wait. But if you need to react quickly and it's for your PR department that you need the data for, that's when you probably need a very quick tool. Then you might get some spam, but then you get it really quickly. Then we've got the automated sentiment analysis. It's difficult. They use very complicated algorithms and kind of how close one word is to another. But obviously, because it's coded by a machine, if you're using the automated results from your tool, chances are there will be some challenges around irony, and it won't be necessarily accurate. So most tools are between 60–85% accurate. But if you think about this, the graph on the right is what you usually get from a consumer brand. So 20% positive, 70% neutral, people saying, I've been there, I've done that, and then 10% negative with some complaints. So if you were to take all the mentions and code them as neutral, by default, you'd be 70% correct. And actually, sometimes when you go and look one by one through these different mentions, rather than on aggregate, then your accuracy goes down still a little bit. So if a sentiment is of absolute importance, then I say you might want to code it yourself, or at least code a sample yourself. That also gives you the advantage of knowing what drives negative sentiment and what drives positive sentiment. You can do that sort of a split and that sort of coding. Then we've got emerging topics. When you first, and this is an example of a search we did for Starbucks. So we did Starbucks and guns, because it was a big story in the news, so we thought we're going to combine Starbucks and guns. There was a big conversation going on in the US about people bringing in their guns to Starbucks. So we did Starbucks and guns, and you can see all the other subjects, all the other topics that were picked up by these different tools differed a lot. So while Brandwatch was talking about falling in love, Scout Labs picked up Burger King. So you have to be really careful, especially if you do repeat searches to different engines, that the search terms that you're using are really uniform across your methodologies, across your research. And then we will look at some overarching tips. So from all of this that we've said so far, the big takeaways are: make sure that you have really clear business objectives before you commit to online text analytics. It really depends what it is that you want out of the data. Do you want really good quality insights and really in-depth analysis that you can, cut the data by many different ways? In that case, you probably need very good data, and you might have to wait for it a bit longer. Is it for PR purposes? Probably having great quality isn't that important. You just need it quickly and now. And also, it probably differs. Do you want to know who is talking online, or do you want to know what a particular group of people is saying online about you? You probably need different methodologies for text analytics in that case. Now, don't try and distill it to a single metric. If you think about all the conversations going on online, it's like a massive, like a very big focus group going on in front of your eyes. Would you put an output of a focus group into a machine, click a button, and expect it to tell you what it means? You probably wouldn't. Like our MD, Alistair Leafwood, sometimes says, our online conversations is like a motorway. There are lots of cars coming in and out, and you can measure the volume of the cars, but you don't know who's in the cars. You don't know where they're going. And if you just look at the volume of the cars, you're probably going to think that actually M25 in London is the hottest place for everyone to meet. Then we've got multiple data sources. Good research is still good research. You still need a good sample of mentions online if you want in-depth and good analysis that you need to code, probably manually if you want really good quality and really rich insights. The same rules that apply in regular other quant and qual research methodologies apply to the online research. Now, tools change every week. Every week I get lots of different emails from different tool providers telling me that they've improved this and they changed that. And that can have an implication to your findings, especially if you're tracking something over time. So do try and stay abreast of the developments and change the methodology. Also, as Ray Pointer once pointed out, the tools improve, so they will troll bigger and greater areas of the internet. So you will have a natural increase in mentions as you go over time. So that's something that you also should take into consideration. And then always challenge the findings. If something doesn't make sense or something sounds strange, then it probably is, and you might be right. So do not feel afraid to go back to the tool and challenge the methodology and ask additional questions, because sometimes if something does sound really strange, it could be down to methodology or the website the tool is trolling or data latency. So do not be afraid to ask additional questions, because they can massively change the way you interpret your findings in the end. So these are the top 10 tips, and now I'll be happy to take your questions.